Coming from a big family and having outgoing parents ultimately serves us well in life. But growing up in that environment can make us feel uncomfortable, especially if we're introverted or shy by nature. And don't we all feel that way from time to time? As the new kid at school or the only person who doesn't know anyone at an event or function? It can feel embarrassing or even scary to step outside your comfort zone and put yourself out there. But that's exactly what makes our big families so great. You have to speak up if you want to be heard. You have to step up to stand out or even be noticed sometimes. And these skills, in turn, serve us well as adults and in the business world. Standing out and excelling in your field allows you the opportunity to be noticed, to build connections, to become known for your greatness. And Cynthia Blackwell is great at standing out, creating an energy that radiates from her core. And this energy comes from her daily routines and her affirmations. Affirmations of gratitude. While these processes may seem questionable at first glance, the results they've had on Cynthia are undeniable. Although after speaking with her, it's clear she's also had a lot of great role models and help along the way. But still, when you listen to Cynthia, you really feel her energy and her gratitude. She knows that she's been given these gifts and has made it her life's work to share what she's gained with others, so they might too learn to harness the energy of affirmations with Cynthia Blackwell.
How are you guys surviving with the COVID stuff down there? Are you feeling any more back to normal since we spoke last, or is it pretty much the same?
No, it's the same.
Yeah.
The exact same. It's getting accustomed to the new norm and the difference just in life. I mean, you get in the car to go somewhere and you just make sure that you've got your mask with you, and you're just very selective as to where you go and what you do, right?
Right. Well, my folks are in that same area, and actually had my two oldest boys were down there visiting for vacation, and that's pretty much what they were saying as well. Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's good to see that at least things are open. At least, you know, like Disney and stuff, you can actually get to the parks. I know it's like under a different set of circumstances, like you said, the new norm, but at least people are getting back out again. That's my biggest thing right now. It's like, I don't care if you believe in masks, don't believe in masks, if you want a social distance, if you don't want some, whatever, just do. Just kind of try to, don't isolate, don't stop locking yourselves down, stop isolating yourselves from the world, stop using social media as your only interaction with life, and get out there and get back to being as much as normal as you can, I guess.
Yes.
That's just my thought from a mental health perspective, because I know, like, we're lucky where I am. I mean, this has been so minimally impactful for me personally, and yet it still has that psychological element just from, you know, everything that you see from everybody else dealing with. So it's a stressful time for sure.
It is. It can be if you let it.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you today, is because the coolest thing about you to me is your energy levels and your positivity and your outlook, demeanor on the world, and doing what you do, and the life that you have, and all the kids and grandkids that you have. Like, that's almost like a necessity, right? In order to keep up with it all. So
we go cuckoo.
On that note, this is the Extraordinary Podcast, and my guest today is Cynthia Blackwell.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. And you are in Orlando, right?
Right out of Orlando, in between Orlando and Daytona Beach. So I can go enjoy downtown Orlando and the attractions, as well as head over to the beach and put my hair up in a hat and enjoy some rays.
The best of both worlds.
Absolutely.
And we're up in Atlanta, so we don't have quite the heat and humidity that you guys are dealing with. But man, it has been a hot summer, hasn't it?
It definitely has, definitely. And lots of rainy afternoons in Florida.
Yeah, us too. You know, this is that time of year, those afternoon showers. But that's actually one of my favorite parts about the South, is that late afternoon shower where it kind of cools things down and you get a reprieve from the heat.
Yeah. Yes.
So for those who don't know, who are new to you, tell everybody a little bit about what it is that you do and how you got to where you are now.
Well, I am a life and business strategist. So I work with individuals that want to get to the next level, whether it's with their sales and business development career, their leadership skills, or a business owner or a small business that wants to take the company and themselves and their team to the next level. Then I step in and ask some really tough questions, listen to the answers, and then I'm a coach, and then also make recommendations. But very importantly, ask a lot of questions. So then that way, whoever I'm working with is really determining and discovering, what their overall vision for success is. My motto in life is plan your work and work your plan. If you don't have a plan, well, hell, you're planning to fail. It's like getting in the car and saying, okay, I'm all dressed up and I look pretty and feel good. Where am I going?
Yeah, it's kind of like if you don't have a plan, then somebody else is going to have a plan for you.
Well, exactly. And the other thing is, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a dream, well, then you're going to work every single day, or everything that you do, all of your actions and energy is investing in someone else's dream to come true versus your own. So, everybody's definition of success and what their dream of success is different. And that's what's beautiful and wonderful and unique. Everybody's vision for happiness and success is different. And that's the way it should be. Now, how did I get here? Well, I'm originally from Texas. I'm the oldest of 4 girls. My mother is Hispanic Mexican, and my dad is the cutest little handsome coal miner son from West Virginia. So I have an interesting background. So I was raised on the Hispanic food and, Spanglish or Tex-Mex. And then also on biscuits and gravy, chicken and dumplings. So I can say y'all all day long, and then I can say yee-haw and hey, ¿qué pasó? So yes, all of that. Now my husband
Kind of the best of both worlds, right?
I have the best of both worlds, exactly. I can enjoy a long neck bottle of beer as well as a margarita,
That's fantastic.
Yes. And then, of course, hubby and I now, 30 years later, of us being together, we have 6 adult children and we have 9 grandchildren. We have 5 daughters and 1 son. So the girls prepared him for marriage and being a father, right? And then, of course, now we have 9 grandchildren, 5 boys and 4 girls. So we're going, yay, boys.
Finally, those tides are starting to turn a little bit.
Yes, just
the
a
balance
little.
of power is shifting slowly but surely.
Exactly. And so, that's really exciting for us, the opportunity to, play with kids and impact the kids' lives. And you want to talk about learning about budgeting, learning about planning, learning about strategy, learning about executing on strategy, learning about budgeting, making a list, the 7 habits of highly effective people, or the 1-minute manager. Oh boy, did those help me back in the day many years ago, And so, yeah, I feel like I have a PhD in life.
Right? Absolutely. Well, what I found so interesting about you is that not only did you have 6 kids, but you also maintained a corporate life throughout raising those children. So you were a professional as well as juggling all those balls with your husband, obviously, as well, because there's no way that you do that on your own. And like you were saying, you learned a lot of these management and leadership techniques through the process of raising kids. And a lot of times it can even be more helpful on that side of the coin than the other, or they certainly apply to both sides of the coin, if you will. The
Absolutely.
rules.
So talk about negotiation skills,
Yeah.
Talk about sales skills. So or asking questions, right? So I'll say to someone, for example, turn into a 2-year-old. And when you're sitting in front of your prospect, ask them, why do you say no? Well, what makes you ask that question? So, again, yeah, you learn a lot about negotiation. You learn a lot about leadership. You learn a lot about sales, influencing, motivating, about personalities, about communication. I mean, all of these different things. Absolutely.
Negotiating with
They
terrorists.
hit
That's what I
pretty.
like to call it. Absolutely. So tell me, speaking of negotiating with terrorists and how we manage our kids, tell me an experience about one of your kids where you kind of had to apply some of that logic.
I would probably say when my youngest daughter snuck out of the house and
Ah,
caught her and then made her come home. I said, you have 10 minutes to get home or I'm really going to embarrass you. She was about 15. And when she came walking in the door, she said, you told me I could go. I said, no, I told you could go shopping with him and his mother early in the morning. I didn't say sneak out at 11 o'clock at night and go spend the night with this boy. Okay. I didn't say that. And by the way, you're the baby. You really should consult with your older siblings to see the things that they did. So then that way you could learn from them. Because this is not my first rodeo or my first game. I knew something was up. Yeah, that one stands out as a funny. And I
that's
hope
great.
she doesn't listen to this because then she'll comment on it and go, "That's not what happened, Bob."
She'll have a different
Oh, of
recollection of
course.
events, I'm sure.
And she turns 30 in November, so you can guarantee it. She's got a different version.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Well, and I love, I mean, it's so true. I mean, I can't tell you how many times a concept that has applied to business has applied to my kids, but also taking a tactic that has worked with my kids and applying that in business. It's remarkable.
Yeah,
Like you said, like the 7 habits of highly effective people. I mean, Stephen Covey's a huge mentor for me. And man, if those, I mean, he actually came out with one that's like 7 habits of highly effective families, you know, that's right, literally follows the same course, but in a family setting. So that's
yes,
great. I
yeah,
think all of those principles hold true.
yes.
So tell us a little bit about what makes you why do people seek you out for the work that you do when they're seeking clarity in their business and uh, trying to take their business to that next level? Why is it that they seek you out in particular? What's your experience that makes you a thought leader in this space?
Clients, I mean, there are lots of great coaches and consultants out there. I mean, I work with, I refer to, I lean on, I learn from, and then there are others out there that, just do things differently. Let me put it to you that way.
Yeah.
And so one of the things for me that clients, whenever I'm speaking to a potential client, we're both in agreement that we're interviewing each other. And what's very important for me is that I'm able to connect and have synergy and relate with the person that I'm going to be working so closely with. Because at the end of the day, yes, they're paying me, but again, at the end of the day, I need to feel good about how I'm positively impacting their life, because it's their whole life. Even if I'm working with a business owner, we're still talking about his personal life or her personal life. How are you dating the wife? What are you doing with the kids this weekend? What are you doing for yourself, mom, to take care of you? Put the mask on first before you take care of the kids. And so for me, that's number one. People that work with me understand and know that we're going to touch all aspects of their life, not just, for example, if they're coming to me because they're now in a higher level sales position, or they've accepted a BD or a sales position and now they want to work on their skills and they want to work on their numbers and all that fun stuff, right? But I'm also then asking them, okay, what are you doing to spend quality time with the family? What are you doing to take care of yourself? How are you meditating? How are you starting your morning? Working out. Again, you have to be in the right state of mind to actually perform well, right? Look good, feel good, perform extraordinarily well, right? And so number one, I need to be able to connect with them and relate. Number two is I do coach, but I also consult and I also recommend and I also share experiences. So then that way, again, we can relate. It's not just about me asking questions and provoking thought. I'm not only going to ask the question, but I'm going to make you think about it. And then we're also going to talk about it. And then I potentially will share with you an experience that I had that is related to what we're discussing. Why do I do that? I do that because so then that way it validates the other person. Hey, you're not alone. This stuff happens to everyone. Okay. I also, it's to share with them an approach, a style that I used to address the situation, right? If it's in a sales call, how did I manage through those objections? How did I invite those objections? How did I respond to those objections, and how did I overcome them? And how did I get my next appointment, or how did I walk out and move on to the next? You see? So again, just being able to relate and share. And the third reason why people work with me is I'm like a little chihuahua. I'm going to latch onto your ankle and you will drive results, because I carry a deck of bullshit cards and I'm going to call them out.
Nice.
And I'm all about, I'll text you in the morning and tell you, okay, who, what. If you're having trouble with your morning routine, okay, fine. Let's discuss how I'm going to help you and what you need to do. And if I need to call you every single morning at 6:15 a.m., I'm going to, until we create habits and we start moving in the direction of a behavioral modification. So yes, I scare the hell out of people sometimes, but either I scare you and make you uncomfortable, get you comfortable with being uncomfortable, or we're not going to be successful. Did that make sense?
Absolutely, 100%. You gave me like 5 follow-up questions. I got to make sure that I say them succinctly and get them all in here. When people come to you, because I'm a big believer, you have to have the balance between the personal, the interpersonal, the professional. There's all aspects of health and wellness. What is the one area that when people come to you, what's the one area that you feel like people struggle with the most?
It's the wellness for themselves. It's becoming a master of their own thoughts. That's the number one struggle that I find with everyone, including myself. You know, it depends on what study you look at. But listen, if you go do a Google search, studies on, you know, negative thoughts, or studies on the mind and our thoughts and the impact that it has on our psyche, right? Our day, you know, our actions, our weight, our look, just everything. I would say that is probably the number one thing, is being the master of our own thoughts and being able to move from this situation in our head to another. For example, we get up in the morning, we had somewhat of a restless night. We look in the mirror. Oh, my eyes are so puffy. Oh, I feel like crap. Oh, I'm going to have such a crappy day. Oh, I didn't sleep good. Oh, and the list goes on. See? So what kind of day am I going to have? I'm going to have a crappy day. My eyes are going to be puffy all day and I'm going to be whiny and bitchy all day. Right? But if I look in the mirror and go, okay, my eyes are a little puffy. Let me go get an ice pack. I didn't sleep so great last night, but you know what? I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to sit for 5 minutes with an ice pack on my eyes, and I'm going to say words of gratitude. And what are the 3 things that I'm going to do today to help me have an outstanding day? Because I am in control of my emotions. I am in control of my actions, and I am in control of what outcomes I drive. And so again, it's that mindset. It's, what do I want? And am I going to go make it happen? Because we have 2 choices. I can go down the left or I can go down the right. And so I have a choice. So that's the biggest challenge, I would say, as a human being, all of us face. And so that's why I say, as a business and life strategist, not only am I consulting and coaching with people in reference to their personal life and balancing that, but very importantly, business too. And how are we, managing stress? How are we functioning through the day? Not just, coffee in the afternoon to make it through the rest of the afternoon. So Did I answer your question?
That was beautiful. Thank you very much. Absolutely. So now on a personal note, on a sidebar, because this may not necessarily be as interesting to the listeners as it is to me personally. So I'm working through my personal development plan, 8 Keys to Great. So I'm fascinated by the idea behind the nuts and bolts of what you implement with your people that you coach. And especially what I find really necessary is the individuality of a plan. So with your coaching, how did you come up with your plan? How do you individualize it? And like, what did that process look like when you were trying to bring all this to fruition?
You know, it's funny. It's a combination of so many different things. It's evolved from over the years from whole cloth. Literally me putting in place things that matter to me and things that are important to me. And then also, very importantly, when I'm customizing what I'm doing, I'm customizing it around the person, their personality, their priorities, and their pace. And so what I mean by that is some people are more of an introvert. They're very process and task driven. They're very deadline driven. They're very detailed. And so I have to meet them where they're at. It's not about me, right? So I have to meet them where they're at. And so it's just evolved. And by customizing it for each person, that ensures that that plan that we're going to execute and those skills that they want to work on, that it's all about them. And I emphasize for them, be selfish right now. Be selfish.
Right, because you have to start with square one. You have to get your house in order first. Then you have to move on to, before you can do anything, like you said, put the oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on the child or anything else like that. And I see that especially with coaches. I was fascinated how there's some coaches who are promoting agendas and ideas and philosophies, but then when you're not even implementing them into your own life and you're setting own limitations in your own life, it's like, well, something's, how does that, those two things don't align,
right? It's missing something. It's missing something. Yes.
So clearly you figured some things out in life, and obviously a lot of that comes from experience raising 6 kids. I find raising kids is a great way to learn how to do things the best way over time. But also there's certainly people who influenced you and who taught you a lot of these principles growing up. Did you have any mentors or anybody special in your life growing up that really played an integral role in developing some of these habits and things?
Oh, goodness, yes. So my grandmother, Nanny, I loved my grandmother. I used to harass her all the time. She was, I just loved her.
Was
Nanny,
she on the Hispanic side or on the West Virginia side?
On the Hispanic side, yes. Nice. So being raised in Texas, yes. So Daddy is from West Virginia. And so Nanny, my mother's mother, she was always very conflict avoidant. She wanted peace and tranquility with everyone. And so I would watch her manage through, because Hispanics are very passionate and we're loud and we get mad and blah. And so my grandmother was very, she would calm things down. She would say, why are you getting upset? Well, what did you think would happen if you said that? And see, I start talking like her,
I love it.
I'm channeling Nanny. And then my mother, I learned a lot from my mother, the gift of gab. My mother, we would be in the grocery store and my mother would carry a conversation with someone as if they were a family member. And they would walk away and I'd say, Mama, who is that? And she'd go, I don't know. I don't know. Well, why were you talking to them, Mama? And she'd say, because you talk to everyone. You treat everyone with kindness, And then again, I go back to my grandmother. My grandmother was like, when you see a beautiful woman, you tell her, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. When you see a beautiful child, again, there's that passion from the Hispanic side, And then we go to Daddy. Daddy is, again, a coal miner son. Daddy doesn't mince words. He was a professional lightweight boxer. So Daddy taught me how to, right hook and, left, good left. And Daddy's philosophy was, the grit, right? And so, I carry a 12-pack of whip ass on my back. And so if you hear one can go, psh, I can guarantee that. And so, I get a nice balance, I think, from both, mama and daddy. And then, of course, the influence from my grandmother. And being the oldest, I guess, I was rather bossy.
Oh, you're the oldest too? That perfectly
oldest.
aligns. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So I was a little bossy too.
So tell me one of your favorite memories growing up in Texas as a kid. When you reflect back on your one of your favorite memories as a child, what comes to mind?
Well, I really don't have like a specific favorite. When you ask that question, I can think of several that are all related. I was the ringleader, and so we used to put on little talent shows, and we would make my grandmother and my aunts and, my uncle and my dad and everyone, make them all sit down. They'd one get the Coors beer, another'd have a Lone Star, and all of us kids, we'd put on shows. And I would do singing and dancing, and then I'd have another one putting on costumes. Oh yeah, we were running the show. So I would say probably that, and, just having fun with, the parents and my cousins and my sisters. I
love it. Mm-hmm. I think that's great. And my oldest daughter does the exact same thing, and I think it's so cool when you can let kids explore their little talents and abilities. And I am a firm believer. It's a real if you allow them that freedom to explore some of those types of things, it's a real premonition to their future. It's a real eye opener to what's going to serve, what kind of a career, what kind of skill set that is going to serve them well as a professional, and like to see them kind of do that, how do those plays. And I've got a couple girls, and like to see each role they each play, it seems almost foreboding to how they're going to play it out in real life, kind of sort of thing. And it's very encouraging and exciting to watch them kind of develop in those areas.
Yes.
That's great. Let me ask you this. Now you're no longer in Texas, you're in Florida, and all the kids are out of the house, and you're kind of moving into a new phase of life, if you will. How do you enjoy spending your time now? What does an ideal everyday day look like for you?
Well, an ideal day, that's rather funny, during this pandemic, right? An ideal day, a typical day is I'm usually up between 5 and 5:30. I get up, I make coffee, I immediately start my words of affirmation. I have, this video I like to listen to. Thank you for the sun. Thank you for the rain. Thank you for the trees. Thank you for the air in my lungs. Just thank yous. So I start with gratitude.
I don't mean to interrupt, but where do you find that so I can maybe steal that for our listeners? What's the account?
Words of affirmation for gratitudes. There are so many. That's a plethora.
Yeah, I want to get that specific one and provide a link so the listeners get a chance to, and I may even try to put it in the background or something.
Totally. I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
And so I do that for at least 15 minutes while I'm letting my doggies out and, talking to them. And then next I'm pouring a cup of coffee as I'm reviewing my calendar for the day. And then next I'm doing my stretching and yoga and getting into the right mindset. And while I'm doing my yoga and meditating, while I'm, exercising and stretching, I'm also listening to words of affirmation for prosperity, but really it's more of I ams. And then after I do all of my stuff like that, then I clean myself up a little bit. And then
I do spread off the brow.
Yes. And then I do a video every single morning, and I post it on Instagram. Today I am, and I make 3 statements. Today I am determined to have an amazing, high-performing day. Today I am going to conquer my tasks with no fear. Today I am. So I always do that. And then I attack my day. I always make sure every single day I have little 10 minute to 15-minute breaks. I go walk outside, I go water my garden, I walk the dogs, I listen to one of my audiobooks or words of affirmation for, prosperity. Again, very seldom am I listening to music during the day, unless it's for a specific reason. Don't get me wrong. I'll listen to music in the afternoons after 5 o'clock while I'm cooking dinner. I typically will say, hey, play, the Billboard hits from 1970 or something, and I'll jam out to, I don't know, something. Freak out, something. But yeah, that's a typical day for me. And I usually collapse about 8:30, 9 o'clock.
That's great. That sounds remarkably similar to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, how long have you been doing the affirmations? And because that's something I'm a big believer in. And what do you feel like that has added to your life?
I've always done this because again, I go back to my grandmother. She, always was gracias a Dios, thank you, God, for this, thank you for this. And then my mother, I'm Catholic, so going to church every Sunday. And so I've always done gratitude. Thank you. I've always, shown appreciation to other people. But it was only in the past, I would say probably 8 to 10 years, that I've actually taken it to the next level, which is being much more strategic and purposeful. And so doing my words of affirmation and having it scheduled and on my calendar every day. Okay. And then, because if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't happen. Right. And so, just making sure that I do that, and then being purposeful. So I went out and I pursued certification. I studied the 5 love languages and the 5 languages of appreciation. I went and got certified on that because it only helps me understand who I am. So seek first to understand before being understood. And so if I'm going to preach to you, hey, show people appreciation, I need to teach you how to recognize another person's language of appreciation and what yours is. So then that way you can recognize others and then you can share it with them. Right. And so I went out and I got that. And then I also went and got studied and went and partnered with Wiley and got my certification for the DISC. So now I can not only DISC personality, so direct, influential, stable, as well as conscientious. So again, the 4 personalities of DISC, again, I'm going to say seek first to understand before being understood. And so for me, it's very important. Intuitively, I've trained myself. I can pretty quickly calculate or determine or assess and get an idea of a person's personality, but not until I really administer the assessment do I really get a full report back on this person, which then again helps me to coach and consult this leader on how their communication style may not resonate with other people's. And then again, by doing that, then I can also coach other people to train themselves to be able to recognize other people's personalities. So then that way they can turn into a chameleon, modify to connect and really relate with the other human being. So your question was, when did I really start doing this? I've been doing it all my life. However, in the past 8 to 10 years, I've been very strategic and purposeful and intentional with my actions as to how do I continue to build onto that skill and how do I really leverage that as a resource to serve and help others. Because at the end of the day, my personality is all about influence, impacting, inspiring, other people. I'm a servant, and I'm a believer in that. I was given this gift that I have because he gave it to me because he wants me to share it with others and to spread goodwill and love and all this. So that's me in a nutshell.
That completely resonates with me so much. When you just described me to a T, exactly some of the same feelings and blessings I feel like in my life. I'm coming from that space of gratitude and just taking time to actually sit back and realize how much we had to be thankful for. And then when you do that and you realize that you have been given so many gifts, and like, okay, well, if you've been blessed with all these gifts, then you have a responsibility, a duty to share that with everybody. You have a, like, for whatever reason, life's been made a little bit easier for me. So I have a responsibility to show other people how life can be a little bit easier for them, you know, and just
Yeah.
to kind of try to share that outlook. And it's funny because, you know, there's not a lot of people like that. There's not a lot of people that think the way that you do. At least that's what I'm beginning to discover. And even in this space where, you know, I love being in the podcast space because there's so much of that kind of mentality within the environment that we thrive in. But I also go into the personal development space, and I'm going into some of these Facebook groups, and I'm seeing a lot of people trying to do what we do and trying to promote a product or try to make a living in this space. And it's remarkable to me how many people are not in it for the right reasons. How many people are saying, oh, yes, here, I can help you. Oh, yes, I want to help you. But they don't come from a place of thankfulness. And when they don't come from this space of gratitude, then when they're putting themselves out there, it's well, what can I take out of this? What am I gaining from this? How am I going to make my money from this situation? How am I personally going to benefit from this interaction? As opposed to your mentality of, I'm here to serve. It's not about what am I going to get out of this. It's not about, am I going to get a slide the credit card or whatever. It's about, how can I provide service? How can I provide benefit? How can I help that person get where they're trying to get? And that's what I've tried to do my whole life. And to see you doing that, it just blows. It makes me happy. It gives you the warm fuzzies, you know, to make sure to see other people that are living that way. It's very encouraging. So.
Yes. Hey, there are givers and there are takers.
Exactly.
I live my life in that. The more I give, the more I receive. The more I receive, the more I give. You know?
It's so true.
I spend quality time on LinkedIn because that's the new norm now, social networking, because we can't really do it in person.
Right.
There's a gentleman that I follow and I love his quotes. He posts the best content. I get so excited. Chris Bowers. Yes, I love him. Leadership quotes. Oh my gosh, yes. Well, anyway, so I go and I look at, you know, to catch up with him right this morning on his quotes. And there's one that I absolutely loved. I don't remember what it is right now, but it was about, you know, your mornings, right? And how you kick off your days and things like that. And, you know, communication or in that realm. And a coach certified with all of these letters after her name responds and then immediately says, I do this, and I beating on her chest. Here's a link to me. Contact me. You know, I came this close to responding and calling her out and going, you know, that was real nice of you to congratulate and respond on his quote, and then a shameless plug for yourself, you know, trying to sell yourself. What that tells me is you're not truly a coach looking out for other people. You're all about yourself. And so, you know, people weed that stuff out. And so not everybody out there thinks like we do. And here's the funny thing. We're taught to think this way. I mean, think about it. You ask me, who impacted my life as a child? We were not in school. We weren't taught to think and dream. I mean, whatever the mind can conceive, the mind can achieve. Nobody told us that as kids. They didn't teach us that critical thinking skills in school, which is quite sad. So for me, I'm always having conversations like that with my adult kids now and my grandchildren. My kids do this to me. They roll their eyes and they go, oh, there goes mom doing her motivational, inspiring.
Here we go again.
And here we go. And I mean, they range in age from the youngest turns 30 in November, and the two oldest turn 36 next month. So, you know, they're going, well, whatever.
Well, what I find so interesting is, despite the fact that they roll their eyes, and despite the fact that, oh, here we go again, is all along the way is we're planting those little seeds with them. And they may not like it and they may roll their eyes, but over the long term, those seeds bear fruit. And the successful adults that they become are a direct result of that. So I think it's a beautiful thing. And I think coming from that thankful mentality, from that thankful perspective is huge. It is officially our time to go. You have another appointment that you have to jump on. So as we wrap up, on the note of giving, another one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show is because at the end of all of my episodes, I always give everyone a chance to plug a charity that they support or some organization that they're a big fan of in the philanthropic realm. And with you, we really probably should dedicate an entire episode to all of the charities and organizations that you are supporting and are involved in. I mean, it's on your website. It's a beautiful thing to see that thankful mentality in action. And so real quickly, tell everybody, I guess we'll need to narrow it down to maybe just one or two, or if you want to do it, go quickly over a bunch, and then also let people know where they can find you. And then we'll pick this up for round 2 on the next one.
Okay, wonderful. Well, everyone, here's what I would suggest. Very importantly is dig deep inside of your heart. What is most important to you? And then go find an organization and dive right in. For me, here in Central Florida, it's Kids House of Seminole. They are a CAC, which is a Children's Advocacy Center. So I assure you there's a Children's Advocacy Center near you. They support and help children that have been neglected or abused physically, sexually, and provide hope and healing. So look up your Children's Advocacy Center near you and ask them how you can support and help a child in need. How can you get a hold of me? Hey, if you just Google search Cynthia Blackwell, I should pop up first. Or if you're on Instagram, the Cynthia Blackwell. On LinkedIn, do a quick search Cynthia Blackwell, and there I am. If you want to send me an email, it's real easy. me@cynthiablackwell.com.
Awesome. Cynthia, thank you so much for your time. And if anybody out there has any areas of their life where they're trying to grow, if you're out there trying to make some changes, you want to develop yourself personally, professionally, Cynthia is an amazing resource. And God, even just to touch base, I mean, you offer a free call or a free initial consultation and see if it's a fit. And I have no doubts that we'll be talking again. And hopefully maybe even we can work it out where our follow-up interview, we'll maybe even be able to do it in person.
I like that idea.
Yeah, because I'm down in Orlando. My folks are down there, so we'll make it happen.
Okay, well, either that or I'll head up to Atlanta. I love it.
Oh, hey. Well, we've always got a place for you here, so you're always welcome.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, Cynthia. Take care.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for listening. So, what'd you think? What did I miss? Was there a topic you wish we had covered? Was there an area of discussion you want to know more about? Or was the whole thing just too long? Please send us your questions and feedback on social media to @extraordinarypodcast or check out our website, extraordinarypodcast.net. Subscribe there for all the latest episodes, blog posts, and more. And if you're tired of living the same old ordinary life, shoot me an email, nate@extraordinarypodcast.net, and I will send you your own customizable blueprint that will walk you through step by step how to create your own extraordinary life. And if you or someone you know already fits the profile, you can submit a request to be interviewed on the website as well. Finally, if you like what you heard or learned today, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and follow the Extraordinary Podcast on all your favorite platforms like YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. And if you feel inspired, show your support for the show by donating through Patreon. It is through this financial support that we are able to continue to bring to light ordinary people living extraordinary lives. Thank you for your support, and most of all, just being you. This is Nate G, and we'll see you next week.